$1 million months mean nothing. But you, listening to this, you probably think it's big. You think it's bigger than what it is you can currently do. But what if it wasn't? What if you realized $1 million months is nothing? It's just 1,000 thousands. And so what you must realize is that creating $1 million months, it's not about affirmations. It's not about positive thinking. That makes a problem worse. It's about functionally, financial reality is a direct reflection of how your unconscious is programmed. Whatever it is that you experience in life is a direct reflection of what's going on in here. Over 70% of NFL and NBA players end up in financial hardship after retiring. Why is that? Because their unconscious has made a decision of what is safe. And so if you're trying to achieve $1 million months, you must realize, I'm Chris Duncan, and this is Self-Made Millionaire. If you've done all the courses, meditated, journaled, healed your inner child, but are still feeling stuck, you're not alone. After helping thousands of driven entrepreneurs like you, I discovered the real shift isn't in fixing yourself. It's in creating from your superconscious. This podcast will help you to break the loop, stop oscillating, and finally build a business that gives you time, wealth, and true freedom without burning out. Let's dive in. Here's how your mind is blocking you from achieving $1 million months. Now, before I begin, let me just make it clear. If you want to achieve $1 million months, you have to have a way to do it. And so 1,000 thousands is $1 million. How can you sell something that's worth $1,000 to 1,000 people? If you have that ability, the only thing stopping you is your mind. Now, if you're listening to this, most entrepreneurs have a market where there's at least 12,000 people in it, right? 1,000 people a month. Or it could be structured in a different way. But if you have a way to achieve $1 million months, your mind is a thing that's stopping you. Here's the first reason why your mind is stopping you achieve $1 million months. There's a part of your brain that doesn't want to change. Whatever you've experienced in your first 7 years of life, this part of your brain wants to continually repeat. And the reason is because you haven't died from it. See, that part of your brain doesn't actually want to thrive. It just wants to survive. And so whatever you've survived, it continually creates more and more and more of it. So whatever your amount of money that you had, the amount of love that you had in your life, the amount of trust, the amount of freedom, that's what's safe. This is your safety point. If you get too much of it, then your unconscious brings you down. If you have too less, your unconscious brings you up, which is why if you're listening to this and you have a business, you're probably never going to be homeless or ever been homeless. But also, if you have too much, you start thinking, where should you be spending it? Which is a real telltale sign. As soon as you get more, you want to spend it. Your unconscious wants you to stay at a safety point. Now, what's fascinating is we see this with lottery winners. Those are people who go out there and win the lottery. Something like 78% of people actually end up worse off than before they won the lottery. In fact, in the United Kingdom, they even have a name for this. It's called lotto louts. Lotto louts. It's people who win the lottery and end up worse off because their unconscious bring them back. Now, we've also all heard of famous actors and sports players who make a ton of money and end up in a really bad situation. It's over 70% of NFL and NBA players end up in financial hardship after retiring. Why is that? It's because their unconscious has made a decision of what is safe. It looks for safety. It doesn't look to thrive. And so what you must realize is your unconscious is like a thermostat. Whatever it's set at, that is what you'll continually experience. And so if you're trying to achieve $1 million months, maybe you didn't even grow up in an environment that even had enough money to keep the lights on, you must realize that your unconscious is always going to hold you back. It's going to throw up a smoke screen of thoughts of feelings to pull you down every time you start getting close to what it is you want. And this is why a lot of times you'll manifest an anti-miracle. I know it sounds weird, but an anti-miracle is when you're just about to get what you want and somehow a family member gets sick, you get overwhelmed, something comes into your experience and it pulls you back to the way it's always been. I hear about anti-miracles all the time. People say they had the right business structure, everything was going, then all of a sudden this business partner did that, or this changed or that changed. What you must do is learn to train your unconscious by stepping into realities that don't exist before those realities manifest in this physical reality. If you do this, your unconscious will allow you to have it easily and effortlessly. The second reason why your mind stops you achieving $1 million months is that your financial reality is a direct reflection of how your unconscious is programmed. Whatever it is that you experience in life is a direct reflection of what's going on in here. Okay? Your reality isn't everyone else's reality. In fact, science shows this consistently. with your intention, you pull and create the same reality. Now, just think about this. Your experience that you're having is quite remarkable. I mean, if you think about the amount of money you have, the amount of health you have, who's in your life. But what I notice is people continually create the same one over and over again, even if they move countries, even if they change jobs, even if they start a new diet, even if they get a new relationship, even if they start a new business, all of a sudden it's the same problem. There's this person that isn't able to help them. The market's not responding this way, and they have the same experience. You got to realize just how amazing it is that your unconscious mind can take this chaotic universe and continually create the same experience over and over again. This happened to me. I built a business. We're doing about $4.5 million a year, something like that. But I was spending probably 3.8, 3.9. I was broke. On the outside, it looked super successful. But internally, the experience I was having is I didn't have enough. I wasn't good enough. And my reality was that even though my business was doing well, I think at that point I had somewhere around 50 staff and, externally, it looked great. It looked great on Instagram. It was amazing. But internally, the experience was the same. Your reality is a direct reflection of your programming. And what's great about that is your programming is not your superconscious mind. It's how you experience your first 0 to 7 years of life. And all research shows us that how you experience those first 7 years is how you continue. And so you must, again, learn to recreate that programming, step into your future, and teach your unconscious a new way of being, because it was just taught a way of being you need to give up. The third reason how your mind is stopping you achieve $1 million months is you've bought into this idea of money affirmations or positive thinking, and they often make the problem worse. You've thought that if you think positive, that should impact your business. The truth is, thinking positive is really good. Like, I like to think positive. I like to be an optimist. I like to feel good feelings. But thinking that if you think positive will change a reality is completely wrong. This is the same as affirmations. I've never walked into a billionaire's house and see on his fridge, "I love money and money loves me." Just think about it. You don't affirm things you already have. You're not sitting in your car, whatever it is, and saying, "I love this car." You don't affirm. You don't feel a need to affirm something you already have. And so there's an invisible belief. Positive thinking and affirmations only make the problem worse, because the invisible or silent belief is that you're not that. See, if you're having to sit there and go, "I love money," or "money flows to me in abundance," there's a part of your brain goes, "No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't." And so what you're doing is you're actually making a second intention in the field, which holds you back. And so what you must realize is $1 million months mean nothing. Absolutely nothing. It means nothing. It's trivial. In fact, $1 million months are very small. I was on a podcast. Oh gosh, date myself now. 2019, I was on a podcast, and the interviewer said to me, "Chris, what's it like having a big business?" And I was like stunned. I was like, "What do you mean?" And they go, "What's it like having a big business?" I was like, I don't know. You have to ask, at that time I said, you'd have to ask Steve Jobs or Jeff Bezos. I don't know, because my business is doing about $20 million a year. That's all it was doing back then. It's freaking tiny. That $2 million a month, that's like 40, 50 staff. It's tiny, right? And so just think about that. Like, really consider, like, all the businesses, Coca-Cola, these things we look up to. $1 million months is nothing. But you listening to this, you probably think it's big. Why else would you click on a video that says how to achieve $1 million months? You think it's big. You think it's bigger than what it is you can currently do. But what if it wasn't? What if you realized $1 million months is nothing? It's just 1,000 thousands. It's just $500 times 200 or something like that. It's so small. It's very, very, very trivial. 1,000 thousands is $1 million, right? $500 times 2,000, that's $1 million. Right, 2,000 people, that's not a lot, or 500 times 2,000. It's so small to do $1 million. There's no reason why. And so what you must realize is that creating $1 million months, it's not about affirmations. It's not about positive thinking. That makes a problem worse. What it is, it's about functionally having the right structure and creating it. And that is such an important thing to realize, is that $1 million months is simply just a mathematical equation. It's nothing about you. It's a function in this reality. So here's the thing. $1 million months is nothing. It's not big. It's not small. It's just a number. In fact, a $100,000 a month business that runs with only a couple hours of your time every single week is a fantastic business. That's a great business. The problem is we've made $1 million months and we've set it to be big, but it's nothing. It's just a number. It's just a function. In fact, I know many people that are much happier with a smaller business, 300,000, 400,000 than they'd ever be with something that is 10, 20, 30, 40 million. And here's the truth: is your mind has made the problem worse by saying that this is something that's big when it's just a number. Real quick, if you're a driven entrepreneur who's done all the work but still feels stuck, or like you're oscillating between progress and burnout, I've got something really powerful for you. I'm running a live training where I'll show you how to unlock your superconscious so you can finally create the freedom, wealth, and impact you're here for. Hit the link in the show notes to save your spot. And now, back to the episode. The fourth reason why your mind blocks you from $1 million months is that your mind creates financial drama to maintain a struggle pattern. Imagine turning up to a family gathering, right? And just picture this. You turn up in your brand new fancy, European car maybe, and you've got a brand new Rolex watch on. You just got so much, and you turn up to this family gathering, and everyone says, "How's it going?" And you simply say, "It's going great. I'm having $1 million months." And just notice how that feels to say that. What do you instantly feel? Most people would feel maybe a little bit shameful about that, or maybe they should go, well, you might want to then add that you're being generous and giving the money away, or you might then tend to add that you want to help your parents or do something else. You see that there's this extra drama, but the difference, if you change that and you put it to a different goal, right? And so you turn up and someone asks you, you turn up in just your normal car, you turn up there and someone in your family says, "How's it going?" And you go, "Yeah, I'm really happy. We've got this amazing new job," right? And that you don't feel any guilt. You just got this amazing new job. You're feeling really happy. See, one is in a familiar struggle pattern, one that your tribe can associate with and you feel connected because, you've got a job and there's struggle and it's not so great, versus when you're out of it. And so your mind wants to stay connected to your tribe. It wants to stay connected to the people around you. And so when it's faced with a place that's completely abundant without drama, it's always going to pull yourself back to say, "Hey, I'm like you. I'm just like you. I have struggles just like you." And this is why your mind is continually pulling you back. So I'll give you an example of how your mind creates financial drama. I was working with this lady about 3 or 4 years ago. Every time that she had her business work, her marriage would start falling apart. So she'd go focus on her marriage, and then her marriage would start working and her business would fall apart. She was never able to have both. So I did this process with her. It was so fascinating. What I found is the way that she received love from her father growing up was through gifts and through being financially supported by her father. She had no structure, no way to receive love from the masculine if it wasn't in the form of financial money. So every time she had her own money, the relationship no longer felt like it had any love. So she would sabotage that, create drama, then she would feel love again. And that is one big way that we keep repeating the same struggle patterns. Another lady I worked with, she could never hold on to money. And so we did the same process. We went deep into what was holding her back. And what we found, and this is so weird, is that we connected with the energy of her grandmother. Okay, I know it sounds crazy. We connected with that. And we found that her grandmother was blocking financial success. Luckily for her, grandmother was still alive. So we did this process, we did all this work. She went and talked to her grandmother. Turns out the grandmother had made a decision that money was evil and you shouldn't have it. Because in World War II, she lost her first husband because they had a lot of money. And so this first husband was attacked. They lost it because they had money. She then remarried and never talked about that other husband. The new marriage was my client's grandfather, and along went the family pattern. There was a pattern that was unconsciously created in the family field that having money is a really bad thing. We shifted that, and she was going on to create an amazing, amazing business as an author and a coach. Changed everything for her. So your mind creates drama to stay connected to family, which is familiar. The fifth way your mind blocks $1 million months is that you believe making the money will change you. You give it the power. You think if you had that, life will be different. And what this does is it sets you up to never achieve it. Just think about it this way. If you have an unconscious mind that wants safety and wants to have everything the same, and then you say, I'm going to go achieve this thing, and then everything's going to be different. Your self-conscious thinks that's great. I want different. That's going to be amazing. But your unconscious goes, different equals worry. Different equals concern. Different is not survivable. So it's going to block that. See, money doesn't change anything. It only changes money problems. Yet you think that you're going to have this whole different reality. I tell you from experience that you can make a ton of money and be completely lonely and bored in life. I've done it. You don't need to do it. I've already done it. I can tell you that if you believe that money is going to change you, you will never have it. What you must do instead is you must realize that you're bigger than the money, that you're a super conscious identity and you can have it all now. And so what is it that you believe the money's going to give you? Is it time freedom? Is it being able to do what you love? Is it being able to spend more time with your kids? What is it that you believe it's going to give you? You need to find a way to have that now. When you find a way to have it now, you're no longer thinking, when I get it, things will change. We do this really cool process. It's called the double bubble. And what we do is we go into your worst case fear. See, one way that you think money's going to change you is everything will be better. The other way that you think money will change is if you don't have it, things are really, really, really bad. Most of the time, that's not true. Most of the time, you'll never allow it to get super, super, super bad. And I know I've had it get really bad. I remember at one stage, I owed over $100,000 every single month as a payment plan to the tax agency in the United States. And I had to pay that every single month. And if I didn't, I was in really, really big trouble. So I know what it's like to be completely on the other side. And the truth is, wasn't that big a deal. Just made it happen, figured it out, was able to trust myself. And in truth, there were some other things I could have done to make that even better. So what you got to understand is that you're bigger than the money. You're not going to be different when you have it. You're just going to be able to do different things. You know, you'll just have a watch that costs a little bit more. You'll live in a house that has more rooms. It will just be different, but it won't change who you are. There's just different choices. You'll still be able to be just as lonely and frustrated in the successful reality as in complete failure. And I remember coming to this conclusion. Everything had fallen apart. I owed all this money. I needed to pay everything off. And I was sitting on the side of this lake in the South Island of New Zealand. And everything was taken from me. My identity, my success, it was all gone. And I remember sitting there and going, wow, this isn't so bad. You know, this isn't so bad. I was still able to wake up, you know, have time with my wife. I was able to go build a business. Just turns out that I was doing it to pay back, you know, some things that happened. And by the way, just so you get it, what happened in 2016 was that my best friend was killed in a motorcycle accident and my business fell apart because he was the other half of it. And I didn't have key person insurance. I didn't have the ability to fulfill on what I'd promised others. And because of that, I couldn't fulfill. I also was spending way more than I was making because I was in a pattern. And so I'd landed in this situation where I needed to pay all this money back, and I didn't want his family to be impacted by it. So I just took it all on. The worst thing is I just lost their brother and their son and this amazing man. The worst thing I could ever think was now they have to go, you know, deal with this. So I just took it all on. And so I was kind of doing it to honor him. And so I had this, what I needed to pay back. But what I realized in that moment, if that was as bad as it gets, I can be free. And I really pass that on to you, is that you get to have it now. Whether you make the money or lose the money, don't give it the power. If you think it's going to change you, think having lots of it will be really good and not having it will be really bad, you will never, ever, ever break free and create success. So those are the 5 ways that your mind blocks you from $1 million months. And so take this on board. Realize that $1 million months is just a number. Why not 2? Why not 3? Why not 100 grand? Understand that you have an unconscious program that is setting you up to have a certain experience in life. Understand that it's programmable, and understand that you truly have the power to create that and so much more, because in essence, it's just mathematics. It's just math, thousands. Just remember that. If you can sell 1, you can sell 1 million. It's just mathematics. I hope this makes an impact. Leave a comment below. Subscribe to this channel and let me know which of these 5 really stood out to you. Have a great day. If you got value from today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss the real conversations and tools to help you break the cycle so you can create a business and life you actually love. If you're ready for more support, check out the link in the show notes. I'm running a live training where you'll learn how to unlock your superconscious and start scaling with purpose, profit, and peace. And don't forget to follow me on all socials at Chris M. Duncan. Remember, stop solving problems, start creating your future.